Hey guys, we are glad you're here for another live podcast here with the Real Talk at the Round Table, where we have Coach William, we have Coach Charisse, and myself, Coach David, and we are excited to bring you here. Now, William, why don't you introduce our wonderful guest?
Absolutely. I'd love to, David. Yes, I'm William, and this is our lovely guest, Sharice. We're very happy to have you here on the podcast, Real Talk at the Round Table. Sharice, you have been getting plugged in with our Absolute Power Connection. Been getting real, raw, and transparent. You know where you're going, your vision, and you're going to make it happen. So, uh, come on in, welcome yourself, introduce yourself to our audience.
Hi, I'm Sharice Campbell, and I am a coach, financial peace coach, and I'm just happy to be here. I do everything, but mainly I empower people to meet their dreams. So,
Yeah, that's powerful. You empower people to meet their dreams. And that can be really difficult in a dreamless, almost
mm,
seemingly dreamless culture, can't it?
it can be, and it's so funny because when you're little, you're always told like you had to write that essay of like, what do I want to be when I grow up, and you have like this vision of bigness, right, or this big vision, but then you get into life as an adult, and you're like, this dull. Oh my gosh, like if I could just make it to 5 o'clock, and it'll all be fine. And then we kind of lose that focus, and we lose that that power of dreaming and imagination of I can achieve anything as long as I put my mind to it, and I don't have to live in the rat race of financial burdens or live in whatever situation that is not becoming of God. So.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It does. I think you're exactly right. I think that us adults have got something terribly confused. We seem to associate dreaming with being childish.
Mm, mm, yeah, yeah, it's just mind blowing because I think sometimes I don't think it becomes the fact that there's a dream, but there's no way to get to that dream. So then it
Mm.
becomes just a dream and not a goal, right? And so it's funny because I'm like sitting here like wheels are turning, and I'm like, how do you get from point A to point B? And as you're going through that journey, you have these areas that God reveals to you, and you start going, oh, and you start seeing the things that God needs to work on. So you have like now you have these construction areas, right? And you're just like, oh my goodness, right? And but you're still trying to get to point from A to B. And if you don't have a good navigation system, you'll like totally be lost into the wilderness of 40 years, right? And so, um, yeah. So yeah, just how do you how do you get there? So.
Yeah, that's a good question that a lot of people ask is, how we actually get there. We have the ideas are great, it sounds awesome, but how do we get there?
I think one of the things we have to be mindful of is one to pick a point B, right? So you're here, right? Know where one you got to know where you are, but then go. I want to go there, and then it's going to it's going to it's going to change according to how you where you're going and speed and all the different aspects. And like I said, when you talk about like construction areas, like I don't, everybody's in different places. I'm in Texas and I'm in San Antonio, and our one of our major freeways or highways is 1604, and right now the construction is horrible. Like it is horrible. A 20-minute drive is now almost an hour, and I'm just like I feel like I'm in Houston or Dallas. Um, but I say that to say if you don't know where you're going and have a clear vision, when you hit those construction areas, you'll just be all kinds of lost, and you get that detour of life, right? And you just detour, and you're like even further behind where you were before. And sometimes we get frustrated because it's going to take us longer to get to point B because of those detours, the
Mm.
construction areas in our lives. So yeah.
Well, you know, it's
Yeah.
interesting that you say construction because one thing with construction is before they even start, they have to have the blueprint, right? And as coaches, we help people with the blueprint, the vision. Where is our purpose? We help that blueprint right there. Just like in construction, we come up with that blueprint. And then
Mm,
along the process of them doing the building, then they have the goals. Well, we have to, by this time, we have to have this done. By this time, we have to have this done. And it all meets with the blueprint. And that's the thing
mm,
in the coaching. We have SMART goals and we have monster goals, and they all lead into the vision. So I like how
mm.
you bring construction into it.
Yeah, yeah, me too, man. Really good, David. I like that, David. And Sharice as well. And I've got to hit on this. Sharice, you said something about wandering around in the desert for 40 years, and then you asked the question, how do we get there? Well, not by complaining, not by
Mm.
don't do that, because it didn't work for the Israelites, so it's not going to work for us, is it? Even if we're having like the worst day of our entire lives, Joe, our sound guy, he always says, what does Joe always say, David?
Be worse.
I don't know if you guys
Doing
heard
great
that,
so far.
but it could be worse, is what he always says.
It's funny you talk about complaining because we're reading through the Bible, and it's it's funny because we just finished Numbers, and in Numbers the Israelites complained so much. And my favorite verse, and I feel bad I don't remember where it is. So everybody go read Numbers, you can find it. But it's where the Israelites complained about having to eat manna. Right? They was like, all we eat is manna all day. La, 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 we want meat. And so God was like, fine, I'll give you quail. And you'll eat so much of it, it comes out your nose. And I was like, do you know how much quail you have to eat to complain to have it come out your nose? Um, so, yeah,
But see,
complaining.
the one thing I love is when you got something for free and plentiful, take
Mm,
all you want, but only take enough for a day because it's plentiful, but it will expire tomorrow.
mm,
So, how would you complain if you could have all the food you want? All you have to do is collect whatever you want, and it's plentiful. Why would you complain? I'm a
Yeah.
fat guy. I love to eat. You let me go collect all my food?
I love it. Numbers chapter 11. I looked it up really quickly. Numbers chapter 11.
oh, man, I would have had to read it.
All right. Well, now they can read also all of Numbers and really narrow in on chapter 11. You're welcome. Yeah, and it's an interesting question, David, that you ask, and my mind immediately goes to, because if somebody gives me something, like, here you go,
Mm,
like, yeah, I'm going to be grateful, but am I going to be as grateful as if I had to work for it?
Well, I think that's key. That's why he has you go collect it because you actually did some
I
of
like
the
that.
work. Like he gave it to you plentiful, but you had to go collect it.
That's good.
And it's there's a saying that everything in life is free, or nothing in life is free. That's the saying. It's nothing in life is free because even if it is free, as in financially free, it's going to take your time. It's going to take some effort or something. There's something you have to stand in line to get it. Or you have to like log in or make an account with whomever, and agree to getting newsletters and cookies. For websites. So there's something involved into it, and time is money, right? And so it's not free. So
Yeah. Yeah. Somebody's working and working hard for it. Yeah.
mm,
Well, now I love how you say that because I know the one that was giving the free stuff, he didn't work for it. He just called it in too. Let manna grow from the ground. Be plentiful. All he had to do was call it in. All we had to do was go collect it. On either side, it wasn't burdensome.
mm.
David, did you say let manna grow from the ground?
Well, My whole thing is God just all he had to do was call it in.
Yeah.
I'm like, didn't it fall from heaven?
Yeah, it did, but still, it came to the ground, right?
Yeah.
But only for one day. Whatever you collected, it would expire at night.
And it goes back on to leaning on God. You know, it's not just to understand that there's provisions for you, and you don't have to hoard. God is going to provide. You know, and I think sometimes we forget that provision that God gives us, and we go, oh, I need a. Some people, what they save that manna, right? And in their saving of the manna, it came out like worms and, you know, it smelled nasty. Stuck up there with the tit. And I think we do that in life, and like today in our lives, you know, we don't trust God for being able to provide for a situation. Just funny, something that I am personally dealing with is giving in my offering, you know, and I started justifying, like, is it like 10, 15%, like 20%, you know, is it gross or is it net, you know, like, do I claim everything? Because, you know, I have non-taxable income. So do I have to claim that? You know,
Well, see, the one thing I think is crucial is yes, we want to trust in God, but everything God says, it's always what you do. He wants action. So yes, we trust in God, but it's much more than that. It's what are you going to do to receive? Now, the phrase I like to go by is you do your best and he fulfills the rest. So as a coach, you come to a coach so we can stretch you, get rid of those limiting beliefs, change the mindsets, help improve you, and watch God just do even more. But we focus on our actions and then trusting in God for the rest.
I'm writing it down.
Yeah. Do our best and trust God for the rest. That's good. That's catchy too.
That's right. You know, and that's what personal development is. It's just all about developing you. You know, every single thing within the Bible, everything calls action. Matter of fact, in order to get salvation, action. You have to believe and confess. Every single thing creates action. So what are you going to do to improve yourself? It says that you don't eat if you don't work. Everything produces action. So instead of trusting, I mean, you do trust in God because, I mean, he provides for the birds, and how much more valuable are we? But beyond that, what are you going to do? Because if you sit around waiting on God, you'll never receive.
Well, you got homework. Look up, there's a verse in the Bible that says, basically, you're so lazy that you won't even bring the food up to your mouth. Like, there's food on your spoon, but you won't bring it up to your mouth. Something totally paraphrased. That's the Sharice version. You know?
I love it. I love it. I love it. You know, limiting beliefs, that's what's on my mind right now, you know. And can you imagine if, like, the biblical patriarchs that we know and love, we read about over there in Numbers and all throughout the entirety of Scripture, Moses comes to mind, Noah comes to mind. Can you imagine if Noah allowed his limiting beliefs to conquer his mindset, where that would put the rest of us? Like, he built the boat that saved his family. Can you imagine what that thought process looked like? It never rained in the desert. God is telling Noah and his family to build a boat. And I mean, just imagine that conversation between Noah and Noah's wife.
I'd be like, God told you to do what? He didn't tell me. I'm just.
Yeah, you know, limiting beliefs. And then Moses, the one that rescued God's people from the hand of Pharaoh. It would have been easy for him to just say, you know what, I'm not your guy. I can't even speak in a full sentence without stuttering. You know, go find somebody else more qualified. And he did, but God didn't let him get away with it, did he?
It's funny
now, you know what? Just to let you know, that verse you were looking for, is Proverbs 19:24.
Thank you.
But the key is what are you going to do? We're all about personal development and making sure that we can grow. So, what actions are you going to do? Now, it takes 21 days. Now, what that says is the sluggard buries his hand in the dish, but will not even bring it to his mouth. And with the personal development, you're going to make that action to actually do to receive. Now, it takes 21 days to change a habit. You need to be pushed and make efforts to change that habit every single day so that in 21 days you can actually change it.
Yep.
It's funny because we just got back from Missouri. We're always on the road, right? I am gone every weekend. And but we were actually in Missouri for my husband's job. And long story short, so to answer your question, how we get there is self-reflect, right? And so I actually had a very intense conversation with my husband, right? Because I was in my feelings, right? So basically, we have made a stop. I got I got a cup of ice, and I had two water jugs, my little like coffee water jug, and then like my other water jug. And I used my coffee water jug, and I just filled it up with ice because we had soda in the cup. So I was like, I'll pour my soda in the ice, and it was rabbit ice. I call it rabbit ice. It's actually called nugget ice, I think, or Sonic ice, or
Yeah.
So long story short, I use it to drink my soda, and my husband and I are talking, and he's like, I really wish, we're driving two different cars, and he's like, I really wish I had got a cup of ice when we stopped at the gas station. And I was like, oh, I have my ice here, you can use it. And he was like, no, I don't want it. And so like literally I'm like, take the ice, right? And so like I'm now like shoving the ice, and I'm like, you're gonna take this cup and you're gonna like it. And so he takes the cup, right? Because he's a good husband, and he takes the cup, and then we get to the next stop. And I was like, do you have my cup? And I was like, did you use it? And he's like, no. And I was like, why didn't you use it? And he was like, because I just didn't want to. You made me take it. And I was like, but you said you wish you had ice because you had a hot soda, and I gave you my ice. Like that was a sacrifice. I love my ice. And he said he thought I used the ice because I eat ice, that I use my hands, and he's a germaphobe. And I was like, first off, I gave you my rabbit ice. It was the good ice. I let you have it. I didn't use my hand. I just used it for soda. And I was like, why did I get upset? Like, I was really upset and in my feelings about it. And I told him, I was like, I made a sacrifice for you. And I felt like he didn't value the sacrifice that I gave him. And I was like, it's kind of like how God gave his only begotten son. I gave you my only begotten ice so that you could have cold soda, and you didn't use it.
I don't know if I would compare that, if it would be close to the same.
That's what my husband said. I'm like, it doesn't matter. It's the point. But as I pulled back, it was a personal realization for me that I wanted validation. Like I wanted that sacrifice, or it was sacrifice, but I wanted to feel valued in what I was doing, because it really is a sacrifice for me, because I'm an ice chewer, right? And for me to give up my ice so that he could have, and he didn't use it, I was like, oh. And then I had to self-reflect also on what was the reason for me to give him the ice. I didn't give him the ice. Yes, I gave it for him to use, but if he chose not to, it shouldn't have changed how I reacted, because it was an act of kindness, and I think sometimes we have to remember our whys. Why are we doing what we're doing? And it'll help redirect, I think, and refocus and pull back. Okay, why do in the financial world, like why do I want to buy XYZ off of Amazon? Like why do I want to buy my little baby a new little suit because it looks so cute and I think he'll look cute in it? Why? Because he'll look cute in it. Well, he looks cute in anything because he's cute. He's my kid, right? but do I need this? Why am I making a budget? I'm making a budget because I'm trying to get somewhere financially so I can get out of debt. Like you see, like remembering this construction thing, and it's like if we were driving on the road and we're going from A to B, and we go, oh look, there's Pizza Hut, and you make this veer and you detour over here, and then you go, oh, you detour over here, and you forget your why, what you were going to accomplish with your point B.
Yeah, as I love the humility and the transparency, the honesty, because I think that I'm speaking for all of us. We've had those little seemingly insignificant moments when we're like sacrificing something, and somebody that means a whole lot to us isn't seeing the sacrifices, not validating and encouraging. I get that, sister. I do. I get that, and it's a stretch. It's a stretch to compare it to God's only Son, your only eyes. But I
But
I,
see,
I
she can
love
get more.
I love the I love the fact. Yeah, she could get more eyes. But she didn't have any in that moment, so it's still a sacrifice. But I love the fact that you, Cherise, self-reflected, and then you self-reflected not only on why is this such a big sacrifice, but why is it hurting me so badly that he's not recognizing it and capitalizing on it, and like why and you're like, well, if it's just an act of kindness, and then you even brought it and you made the connection to like God giving his son, that's gotta hurt God, right? That's really gotta hurt God. Now you've got me thinking, like, what does God do? Like, Scripture says that the rain falls on the just and the unjust. He keeps giving these mercies, doesn't he?
Mm.
The heart of God, it's so massive, it's so big. There's room for all of us, isn't there? And more room. David, what are you thinking?
What I'm thinking is, we're at that magical time. We are
Mm.
halfway through. So
Oh,
for all those people out there, if you have any wonderful questions, please post them and we will ask them live on the air. This is live, raw, unscripted. So your questions will be heard, and you can ask any one of us questions, but mainly ask Sheree because she is the special guest, and we welcome. And by the way, at the end, one person will get a special prize just for asking the best question. So make sure you post your questions and let them be heard live on the air. And
Yeah.
with that being said, yeah, the reason I say I don't know if I would compare. See, there was only one, the only begotten Son. But
mm.
ice, there's only one at this moment, but then there was more and more and more. So that's the reason why I wouldn't necessarily compare that, but it was a sacrifice. And every sacrifice we make should be for that point. Now, I make a lot of sacrifices to people, and a lot of times I make a sacrifice for this reason, and they don't take it for that reason. Um, and so I've had to learn to not only just accept that, but it's like, hey, look, I gave it to you for this. If you use it for that, great. If you didn't, great. I still made the sacrifice for this, so I will be rewarded for this, right? Because
Mm.
we are planting seeds, like all this. And so the thing is some seeds are planted on good, solid ground, bringing wonderful fruit. And some seeds are planted on stone that the birds pick up. So it doesn't matter where we plant the seeds. Some are going to produce 100 times fold. Some's going to produce 30 times fold. So it'll all even out. So I just plant seeds all over the place and enjoy the blessings when the harvest comes.
Yeah, that's a powerful word there, bro. Powerful word. I like that. Just planting seeds all over, and when the birds of the air, they come, and when they come to devour the seed, it's up to us to be fruitful ground. It's up to us to take the seed and receive it into our hearts and allow God's word to grow. I think that all three of us here on this call do an excellent job of that, from what I've seen anyway. And I love that this is a safe place for us to be honest and real and raw, and just to have that support. Yeah, that support. Um,
Yeah, and this
now,
is such a sacred place, such a good, honest, secure place. You can tell your deepest secret, and don't worry, only broadcast over the world.
YouTube for everybody watching.
Yeah. Now, construction areas. I've got a ton of construction areas that I get to really pay attention to and observe and go really slow in. And one of the really better insights as I have navigated and still continuing to navigate those construction areas in my own life is it is opening up empathy for others in their own construction areas that I was totally unaware of before. So, if you're going through a hard time out there and you feel like, it's just all for naught, it's a lie. It is. God has got a plan for it. He's going to use it if you let him, when you let him. I'm going to say when you let him, because I believe in you, to open up empathy, right? Because I think empathy comes best, at least for me. Now, you guys can come in and weigh in on this, but empathy comes in the best with me whenever I can relate to that specific circumstance.
I think, I'm like sitting here, I want to be like, I'm always empathetic, right? No, not really. And the relatability, I don't think is always where I get the empathy. I think the relatability is when I don't have the empathy. For instance, like somebody dealing, okay, here guys, but female issues, right? Every month we crawl up in the ball and want to eat ice cream, right? But you still go to work, you still go do things, like you still push through. And so when somebody's like, oh, I feel sick, suck it up, buttercup, let's go. Like there's no empathy because I could relate. Like I've been there, done that. Like I have 7 kids. Like really, like what are we talking about? Or somebody saying like they're too busy to read the Bible. Oh, okay, I get that. I understand the busy schedule. Like if I showed you my calendar, people go bonkers. But we still find time, and when we miss it at 6 instead of like reading for 30 minutes at 6 o'clock, we only read for like 5 or 10, then we have a 2 o'clock catch up. It stops the presses at 2 o'clock. We do our catch up. Like you find ways to do the things you want to do. So I don't have the empathy when I think my empathy is less when I can relate. For me, that's for me. Because I feel like,
yeah. No, yeah, that makes sense. It reminds me of the quote by the great Martin Luther that I've got so much stuff to do today. There's no way I'm going to be able to get it done without at least a minimum of 4 hours of prayer with the Father. There's no way. So it's a matter of perspective, I think. It's a matter of what's important to us. Where are we drawing our strength?
Yeah, and it's key that that's why we, have a vision. Construction, you have a blueprint. When you have the layout, the form, that's how you know you can get things done. When you don't know what you're doing and you're going all over the place, you might hit the target once every 10 hours. But when you're hitting the target all the time, you get so much more done. One of the key things, meditate. When you meditate in the morning and at night, clearing your mind, when you're seeking what you're looking for, seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all else will be given unto you. When you seek him, everything else is given to you, right? So when you put what you desire first and watch how everything else falls into place, well, you know what? I'm giving this much time to my business. And after that is done, then I'll give this much time to my clients. Because if you're not, what you do today in your business doesn't do anything for you right now. It will help you 3 months down the road. So if you say, well, I got enough clients, I don't need to do nothing for my business right now. That's fine. 3 months from now, you're not going to have no work, right?
True.
So you always have to keep your blueprint or your vision at hand. What is your purpose? What are you wanting to do? And you need to make actions towards that. And what is on the heart, the person will do. So what is truly on their heart? What do they want? What is your purpose of this life? What is your goal? What is your blueprint in the construction? Your vision in life?
It's funny because I think about when people, like with the blueprint, we're supposed to keep God first, right? But then where our priorities lie, we can say our priority is our business or our priority is whatever, but then you start looking and you spend more time on the golf course or you spend more time, on YouTube or Facebook or any of the social media, and then you're like, oh, I had no time to go to work today, or I'm running late and now I'm speeding on the freeway, right, trying to get there. And then you're like justifying, well, I have to speed because I'm late. Well, no, you wouldn't have been late if you would have been, focused and on target, So,
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to challenge you, Cherie.
yeah.
So you said the golf course is not working. But see, the golf course is where you do your networking.
Oh,
So the thing is, and you said YouTube. Well, YouTube is where you do your promoting. So
well, some people aren't doing that. They're just golf coursing. I don't play golf, but
I mean, the thing is like, yes, you want to be proactive in your business, but for instance, I'm going to do an hour of networking. I'm going to do an hour of prospecting. Because if you're not prospecting now, 3 months from now, you're not going to have no work. So you got to keep prospecting. But you don't want to spend, I'm going to do networking. I'm going to do, and I'm doing air quotes, networking for 4 hours. And oh man, I just was too busy. I didn't have time for anything. Really? You really have to network for 4 hours? That's where it comes into, yes, you do need to network. But even though it's part of your business, where is what you want to do actually getting done, right? So the thing is you have to do things for your business, but you also have to keep your clients happy, right? Now, no successful person does everything. You always have teams of advisors, teams of everything. Now, the best team to have in your corner for the direction is obviously God. So you should provide some time to Him. You also need some time for prospecting, some time for networking, but you also have to take care of your clients. So my ideal goal is 50% should always be for your clients, 50% for your business. And out of for your business, you should have networking, you should have prospecting, and you should also have for your teams. By the way, one of them should be God. So starting off with God first, maybe doing some networking, maybe some prospecting. 50% of your time each day should be for your clients. Because after all, that's why you're here, right? I see you're thinking about that, Cherie. What's on your mind?
So, like, my wheels are spinning because I'm sitting here like, it's yes and no in terms of like the timing for God. But I think if we do everything for God, then our time, that 50% that we're spending with our client, but we should be a good representation of God in that moment. So theoretically, it's 50% with our client, but if we're doing everything we do for God, you know, um, then there's a scripture. I feel bad. I'm one of those people that's like somewhere between Genesis and Revelations. It says this, right? Or Revelation, not Sean's. There's only one Revelation.
So
but
I see what you're saying, and you're true because you're supposed to be in prayer 24/7. But that's not dedicated towards Him. So time that you dedicate towards Him needs to be specifically purposeful for Him. But He should be 24/7, right? Even when I'm talking to you, I should be talking to Him.
Mhm. Yeah.
What you guys say to that?
One thing that I like to imagine that really helps me, because that can be tricky, especially for us guys. We're one track minded, so it's hard for us sometimes. Is I like to imagine Jesus like sitting next to me, whether I'm driving down the road or even now, I'm looking over. I just like to imagine that He's there, and then, okay, how would I act if He, like if He was tangibly, like I could see Him and He was being here, like, because He's omnipresent. So, acknowledging His presence and then acting in a way that is respectful of Him. Like whenever I'm talking to you, Sharice, I'm going to talk to you as you are a daughter of Him. He's here. He's watching exactly how I'm treating you. And same thing with you, David. You're a son, so I'm going to talk to you in that manner. And I think that if we all did that, wow, could you imagine what the world would be like? That would be a good world, I think.
really would be. And it's even besides just talking, just like, because God is omnipresent, right? And so that means He can be everywhere. And when you're, if you think of it as like your grandma sitting next to you, would you still be doing or saying or acting the way you are with grandma sitting right there? I think you would change some things. Unless your grandma is like, different.
Unless she's a hippie, right? And she'll let anything go. Don't worry about it.
From the 70s, right? Grandma from the 70s.
I think that's what a lot of us picture God as, some sort of a senile heavenly grandfather that just takes a lot of naps. And, as long as you'll acknowledge Him during supper time, hey, you're in good standing. But no, we've got a heavenly Father who's omnipresent. He's always here. He knows exactly. He's omniscient. He's all-knowing. He's omnipotent. He can crush you or open some doors,
That kind of reminds me, there's a song, and it was by a very good artist, and he was talking to this other guy, and he says, with the experience I have, I can make you rich, or I can do something else. And so the thing is, and it was like, I'm not here for those. What I am here for is this, and with this, I am better. The key point to that is, yes, as you said, all powerful can crush you or can open doors. It kind of draws my mind to this guy. His name was Carmen, and he has some awesome songs. And this song specifically was the Witch's Invitation. And the witch said, "I can, with the knowledge that I have of the dark age of the dark world, I can make you rich or curse you to death." And the other guy, Carmen, was like, "Well, I'm not going to compare that, but what I will compare is the condition of my soul and your soul. And that puppet of destruction I will compare." So the thing is, yes, God is powerful enough where He could crush you, but we're in grace. He's not going to do that right now. But you will have to answer for everything. So as we're seeking to grow ourselves and to enhance, so that when we are compared as righteous. We are developing our personal goals to go out there and bless and increase each person to their better self. And planting seeds like that, we can only imagine what's going to happen. It kind of reminds me of, okay, so these two people, they died. A cab driver and a priest. And St. Peter says to the priest, well, good, my faithful servant, you see that? No, he says to the cab driver, you see that mansion way over there? It has everything, golf courses, basketball hoops, swimming pools, anything you can want. It has it, and it's yours for eternity. He says to the priest, you see that shack way over yonder? That's yours for eternity. Wait a second, sir, I think you got it wrong. I'm the one that was saving souls. I'm the one that was preaching. I should be there, not there. He says, sir, let me tell you something. When you were preaching, people were sleeping. When he was driving, they were praying. It's not necessarily what you do. It's what is the fruits of your actions. So if we're to be very fruitful, imagine what that will do for the world.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that at the end of the day, it kind of like goes back, my mind goes back to David, something you said, you're like, I'm just kind of throwing seeds out. And that's really what we're in control of. It's like maybe I'm throwing seeds, maybe you're watering, God's giving the growth or not giving the growth. Like he's the one that's in control of the growth. So in a real way, we are very dependent, aren't we, upon, whether God's given the growth or not. I mean, we're just kind of either creating soggy soil or
I would challenge that.
bird food.
I would challenge that, Will. So God didn't create robots. He doesn't make people change and do anything like that. All he does is waters. He wants you to take fruit, but he made us freedom of choice. He wants us to choose him, but he doesn't force us. So he keeps watering, hopefully that you do take ground, but it's by our actions. We have to believe and confess. We have to grab hold, right? I see those wheels turning. What do you got, Street?
It is just the philosophy of what we have to do, and I think it would, as far as pleasing God, and I think it's more than just confess, and it's Acts 2:38, being baptized for the remission of our sins, and then of course Romans, disregard, Revelation 2:10 being faithful unto death, so that we can get the crown of life, because I think so many times people kind of just stop in this world of, I also say read your Bible, right? And know what it says for yourself. But we get stuck in this, I'll do this and let God continue to water me, right? Because I'm saved. But there's more to just being saved, right? You have to produce fruit, and you can't be like the guy with the talent of burying what God gives you, which is your salvation or a talent, right? Because you're just like, oh, I'll keep it here in my little box, but you're supposed to go and be fruitful. And it's funny because God's response to that, I believe it's Matthew 25, but don't quote me, right? I know it's in this gospel, because Jesus says it. And he says, you could have at least taken it to the bank and I would have gotten interest. At least, and when we get into our salvation and we don't go and we be like a sower, just throwing it out, right? Out of fear or whatever, we are at jeopardy of losing, being watered by God, So yeah, that's why my wheels were turning, because I was like, we can't just get into the, just wait for the water, because he's gonna rain on me too, right? But just go out and be that sower, and
Yeah. And I think it's what we get to do. I mean, in no circumstances have I been as joyful as whenever I am engaged in labor with God.
Mm,
And I say with God because He's inviting us into the labor field. He's there too. We're made in His image. He worked for the first 6 days and rested on the seventh. And He's like, you do the same. So it's like He's inviting us in. We get to co-labor with Him in a real way. Uh, it's an amazing thing. It's what we get to do. Yeah.
yeah.
You know,
It's funny that the co-laboring, like, wow, it we he does bless us to have that opportunity, you know. And so it is a blessing.
It is. It really is. Ah, well, this has been a good talk. A really good
Yeah.
talk.
There's no questions. Okay.
there is no question at the moment. So I'm going to put it out there again. You want to ask questions because the best question, and we're getting close on time, so, you may only be the only question, which means you would
You
guarantee
would.
the reward. So if you have any questions, please post them because we are looking forward to answering your questions. And you know what? I will say, I ran into a powerful person today. As I was talking with him, he's actually starting a business, and his business that he does is helping people with podcasts.
Mm.
And so as I was talking with him, it was very interesting. We had a very good talk. He actually subscribed to this channel while I was with him. And so I know he said he was going to try to get on here. And he might be on here. I know we have one person. So he might be the person that's on here. There might be somebody else. I don't know. But I know he was saying that he was going to get on. So, and if you're here, I remember our talk we had.
Then again, I think you're right. I think a lot of people are.
So with that being said, we do have the mics open for any powerful question. But meanwhile, so Cherie, I know you said you have a lot of wonderful children, and you are a powerful Ramsey coach. And I know you had experience before even Ramsey because of your children. You've grounded into them, you've helped develop them, you've helped them grow, and then you became a powerful coach with Ramsey to even enhance that better. What powerful skills can you use to motivate and to help people grow into a deeper personal development?
Look, most people, I would say,
What positive skills? My powerful skill is flexibility key to air superiority, right? Prior Air Force, got to throw that in there. But being flexible, and I think because I can't cookie cut everybody, and that's the blessing of having 7 kids. I've learned that I can't cookie cut. God doesn't even cookie cut with us, right? I mean, He cookie cuts with the salvation, but He doesn't cookie cut. Like if you think about when Jesus saves, or disregard, when Jesus healed a blind man, one time He made like this little spit paste, right? And put mud on his eyes, right? Other time He touched it. Other times He spoke. Like there's not this cookie cut thing. And so my powerful skill is the flexibility to be able to, change, be like Paul, right? Being able to be everything to everyone, right? How they need it.
So
that's my superpower.
And that's a powerful skill to have.
Of course, my kids would be like, "She doesn't get that with me." Let's go do those dishes.
Well, your kids, I think, were they were the samples to make you the powerful person you are. We always have to, like I was talking to the guy earlier today, his wife, I'm not going to be too detailed, but it's in the medical field. And when he was first starting out, he was a pincushion for her because they always have to experiment on someone, and he was a pincushion for her. So with that being said, your kids, your pincushion to make you the better coach.
I will totally tell them that.
Now, with that being said, we do still have time for any last questions. However, we are in our last few minutes. So I always like to make 3 wonderful announcements. The first announcement is for all those coaches out there. We have something special for you. This is completely free. We have a community that brings all coaches together. Ramsey coaches, Tony Robbins coaches, ICF. If you're a certified of any way, shape, or form coach, or a credentialed coach, this is for you. This brings all coaches together. We all have skills, and this brings us all together to help each other out. This is a free community. We welcome you to join. It also has the power connection, so we can help each other out on a more powerful level. Second of all, we have an all-in-one absolute CRM that if you are a coach, we have a snapshot that takes your business to the next level, and we welcome each person to join that. If you are not a coach, you don't need that snapshot, but it's also a powerful program. It's an all-in-one that will jumpstart your business with marketing, with emails, with all the kind of stuff that you could want, plus more at a lot cheaper price. Third and final, we like to introduce for everyone out there. We have communities, we have things going on. If you are a Christian of any sort, we have a unisex Bible study on Tuesday nights that everybody is welcome to come to. We have a men's Bible study on Friday nights. We have a community that you can join in that's going to help you in your spiritual walk. So with those 3 things being mentioned, I always like 2 free and a costly one. So there's your 3 announcements that can touch every single person that's listening to this to help grow them.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I love it, David. Yeah, we want to see you there. So, David, if I was a viewer and I wanted to get involved in any one of those, how would I go about doing that?
In below, there's going to be comments that's going to give you everything that you need plus more. There's going to be websites for every single one. It's going to have a different website to go to, but everything is going to be in the comments below, or not the comments, the links below.
Love it, love it, love it. All right, like it, and they can always reach out to either one of us directly too, right?
That's right. We're more than happy to give them the links.
Okay, really cool, really cool. Well, Sharice, it has been an absolute pleasure connecting with you again. It always is. Any last words, David?
Well, let's hear any last words Sharice has to have, because we've got about 6 more minutes. So we're going to hear any last words Sharice has. Then we're going to give her something as well, because we want her to walk away with something as well.
Last word. So it is finished. No, I'm just teasing.
So wait, when you said it is finished, that means you don't get nothing. Because if it's finished, then we're done.
Okay, well, in the beginning.
I love it.
But I really do thank you guys for the opportunity. I love you guys' mentorship, that you guys have provided for me. And it truly has been a blessing to be a part of the community with you guys. And I thank you for being able to be on this podcast, right? And so a little disappointed for whoever's out there that didn't ask a question. Like, come on, right? But, that's why I have to self-reflect on why am I frustrated that the person didn't ask a question, right?
We still got a great talk between the 3 of us.
Yeah. So, but I really do thank you for the opportunity, and I pray that this podcast will be able to help people in their lives. So, thank you.
And even the people that weren't here, a lot of people do watch it after the fact too. They just can't win any prizes after the fact.
That's right. If you want to win, you got to be here.
Hey, Will, do you have any last words?
Yeah, so thank you so much, Sharice, for being on. It's been a pleasure. David, always is a pleasure to be with you too, brother. I'm a better man. I'm a better coach.
Mm.
I'm a better friend. I'm a better son of God because I know both of you. So thank you for being you. Everybody else is taken. You got to be you. So you do a good job, both of you. Thank you.
Now, Cherie,
Yes.
I'm going to brag on you for a little bit. Now,
Pardon me?
everybody out there, Cherise is in our community of all coaches. She also comes to the Power group every single week. But what we're going to do for you, Cherise, is we're going to give you 2 group coaching sessions.
Oh, yay!
And that is actually, that's a $500 value that you're getting for free.
I love free. I have to work
So,
for it.
we're going to be in touch with you to give you the details of that. But yes, you get 2 group coaching sessions completely free. So thank you for being on the podcast. And each and every person, we thank you for coming. And even the ones that's going to be watching this later. So we thank each and every person, and we'll see you next time, same bat channel, right here on YouTube.
Peace.